Welcome back, everybody, to Crunch Time for Evening Edition. I am Britt Devine, joined by TJ, and on the seat of his pants, ninth inning comeback, number one Cardinals fan in the world, Justin Van Zuden. Justin, I don't know what to root for because I would love for them to melt down and lose this. I would have loved for them to lose the game. I would love for them to win. I don't know how to root for against you because it's just pure entertainment.
The good news is I wouldn't be horribly upset after they come back in the ninth inning 2 days in a row. But yeah, it's a bad time for the show to start. We got one out to go though, so hopefully they can get that in short order, and then I won't be distracted.
They got the second out on a nice catch. Yep. So
it was a tumbling grab.
So good luck. You've got all bets taken care of in that game. The emotional hedge. We'll see how it all plays out. And we had TJ with how many spider bombs went? 1, 2. I know my Jazz Chisholm I put up on Scores and Odds. I didn't mention it on the show because the odds move so much, but that was a nice one if you were a Scores and Odds.
How bad is he hurt, by the way? Has anybody seen that? He got he banged in.
He hit the home run. That's all I care about.
A foot contusion, I think it was. So I don't think anything too bad.
Well, TJ, you had a couple Spidey bombs, or at least one, right? How many went on the first show?
Jared Kelenic knocked one out. We had a lot of really good fantasy days. Jazz Chisholm was one of my bets there as well. But I believe in terms of the official Spidey bombs, the only one that hit was Jared Kelenic because we had Brent Rooker out of the lineup and Byron Buxton out of the lineup. But after Buxton, we pivoted to get people to play lots of Gallo. So that worked out well.
Kelenic was plus 600, so that covered the whole site anyway.
Exactly.
So, what do we got? We got a lot of people in here. How about, what do we want? 50 likes, first Spidey bomb, 75, number 2?
Love it. I'm game.
All right, so click the like button. We'll get to those in just a second. Let's talk this slate. Justin, I'm going to start with you in pitching. And maybe let's talk FanDuel, and then we'll go to DraftKings, because maybe we'll talk about the two pitchers I think you should be using on DraftKings in the FanDuel version. But if you play Zach Gallen, who's pretty good, he's at home where he's very good. I have a strikeout prop earlier. I mentioned on the early show. 6.5, you can get it on our sponsor, FanDuel, at -140. They let me bet it up to 12 strikeouts, Justin. I went up to 12. So I've laddered it all the way up with Zach Gallen tonight. If you play him, you probably have to play a couple of bats. You're like, I don't even know if this guy is actually going to make contact with the ball tonight. So if you don't play him and play maybe Tyler Wells, I don't know. You can get all the bats you want tonight. Yeah. So what do you think on FanDuel is basically the preferred option tonight?
I think the preferred option is to try to get to Gallen, but I don't have a problem going to Wells. Those are my top two guys. And frankly, those are probably the only guys I would consider in cash games. Like Cease at this point, too unpredictable. Bullpen's too bad behind him. He walks too many guys. Like, he's fine for tournaments, but it's Gallen, it's Wells, maybe a sprinkle of Cease and GPPs, maybe Urias. But yeah, I'm going to try to get to Gallen. He's really good. Yeah,
I think really good. What is he? The favorite to win the Cy Young at this point in time, and historically, very high strikeouts at home. So I'm absolutely on board with him. In full disclosure on FanDuel, I've gone with Wells because if you basically get almost all the bats you want if you play him, and there's a game in Coors, there's this Fernando Tatis guy, he's pretty good. There's a couple other bats you might want to play tonight, that are in reasonably good spots. So I've gone with Wells. I wouldn't fault anybody for playing Gallen. I basically hedge that with the strikeouts bet is how I'm doing that. DraftKings, the two pitcher site cards, those are the two I'm using. Is there anyone else you would consider from the cash game perspective?
I think you can consider Urias, but it's just not necessary because he's only $500 less than Gallen on DK. So why would you even do that? And Gallen, Urias combined, that's probably too much salary on a night where you want some bats. So it's Gallen, Wells for me. I suppose you could make a case to go super cheap and go with somebody like Hauser, who only has a 15% strikeout rate, but he is facing the Royals. If you absolutely needed it, I guess Hauser would be my punt, or maybe Contreras in a GPP. But I wouldn't go probably below Wells in my builds.
All right, we'll get to some tournament pitchers in just a second, see if TJ can get to anything. But we've surged past 50 likes. We're at 69. We need 6 more for 75 to get 2 Spidey bombs. TJ, let's get this first one. We'll let the people click the like button, probably get the second one. Let's go.
Let's do it. So I'll give us a nice sneaky one here if we get up to 100 likes. But in the meantime, I got 2 Spidey bombs for you. So let's keep hitting that like button. First off, we have Mlb Dfs plus 440 over at Caesars today. Absolutely love that one for Mookie. I think he's going to be hitting one out. And then in addition to that one, we have Rowdy Tellez, who also you can find the best odds for over on Caesars. He's plus 410 over there. And, you know, I don't ever like giving a Spidey bomb from Coors just because they're always chalky and it doesn't really count. But I will say I love the odds for Chris Bryant today. You can get him plus 450 over on Caesars as well. And so Chris Bryant, a bit of a unofficial Spidey bomb.
All right, so there's 3 home runs. Mookie Betts, Chris Bryant, and then what was the one in the middle here? I'm trying to get the Caesars app. The Caesars app, by the way, not as good as the Fanduel app. It's very hard to navigate sometimes. But I'm trying to get these.
When you're using that, does it like randomly refresh on you?
It's the worst. I don't even want to.
It's horrible. I was wondering if it was just my phone.
No, it's everybody's phone. I don't know how people do it. Thankfully, our sponsor Fanduel has a nice app that we can
slick interface on Fanduel.
We can use it as an alternate. And thanks to Fanduel for sponsoring the show. If you ever want to check them out, if you're in a legal sports betting state, you can check out their stuff. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you are a new customer. And while we're doing all the reads, make sure to check out Will's Take Your Pick'em show. I love props, right? I did this with Will for football season. I'm sure I'll be doing it again. But if you wanted to check out props, if you want, getting strikeout props and fantasy point props early in the morning during the week, it airs at 10:30 live. You can catch it on YouTube a little bit later in the day if you wanted to check those out. But you got to get I would just watch the show live, honestly, to be able to get the information as Will's putting it out there. Will moves the lines. If he's on something by the end of the day, it's going to move one way or the other. So make sure to check out that show 10:30 every day during the week. All right, TJ, back to you. Tournaments, pitching. We've got Gallon. Looks like the clear-cut favorite everybody's going to be using today. Do you like him? Would you be overweight on him, or would you maybe go to a Urias or a Cease, maybe hope some of the strikeouts come back?
100% Zach Gallen today on FanDuel. I wouldn't even consider anybody else even in 150 lineups. And then on DraftKings, where I am playing 150 lineups, I have 100% Gallen as well. I'm mixing up my SP2. Going cheap with Adrian Hauser is my favorite way of doing so. A chalky Tyler Wells, that worries me. I'm going to try and get even-ish to the field on Wells, but probably a little bit underweight. I got about 20% Dylan Cease and 20% Brandon Bielak just because he's playing the White Sox and he's super cheap. And so Zach Gallen, the pitching is just gross on this slate. I'm running 100% Gallen. I'll be underweight on Cease, and I don't really have any interest in getting to Urias going up against the Padres either.
All right. Cards, did you win the game? I see it's ended.
They did. Yep, they pulled it out. So
you emerged victorious. Congratulations.
We shall rejoice in a victory for a second straight day against Kenley Jansen. My wife is super excited that they're the Sunday night baseball game tomorrow on Mother's Day. Heck of a present for her, but at least I'll be in a friendly mood until then.
How would they run Jansen back out again after? I would not. I don't think I'd do that as a manager.
Yeah, I mean, he threw like 22 pitches last night and didn't get an out, and then they took him out of the game, and then certainly he's probably not going to pitch tomorrow. You wouldn't think, but
I would guess not. After that, all right. Let's. We kind of hit on pitching. Seems like a pretty condensed player pool from I think everybody tonight. Gallen. If you had to pick cards from a Cease or a Urias, with Gallen and Wells probably being, do you have a preference between one of those two if you were going to mix it up a little bit?
I mean, I think for the upside, it's Cease. Like when he brings his A stuff, he's got lots of upside, and they'll let him throw as many pitches because the bullpen is so horrible. So, Urias is safe and steady, and he's probably the safer option. But if you're looking for mixing and matching and GPP entries, I think Cease is the guy that you target for the upside.
All right. Cards, I'm going to stick with you with offense. Again, keep wait, I want to make sure, TJ, we're approaching 100 likes. Do you got any more in the bag?
Yeah, exactly. I got the sneakiest one yet, the best odds, the lowest owned player of all these guys coming for us as soon as we hit 100 likes.
All right, so get that. We'll get offense in general from cards here. I'm hoping we can get that 100th like by the time we get to TJ. What are we looking at tonight? We've got a game in course, right? Philadelphia, Colorado. You know, these guys are all pretty. Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Castellanos. They're not priced up into the tier where they should be in the 4,500s on FanDuel and 6,200s on DraftKings. They're all significantly cheaper than that. They're attainable. Of course, you like them. What do you think of the Colorado side? And then where else are we going for offense tonight?
Yeah, Colorado's always interesting because if they didn't play half their home games in Coors Field, like they would be as irrelevant as like the Nats. It's not a good offense. It's just they get the benefit from playing in Coors so often that they become relevant. But in my opinion, still most of the time a little bit overowned on the whole. Like I don't mind Chris Bryant tonight. He's got really good splits against lefties this year, and we know CJ Cron has power. But like the offense on the whole, I don't have a ton of interest in Colorado as a stack, though we have fairly low ownership on them, at least at the moment. So the Philly side would obviously be the best side of that game. I think a spot that a lot of people are going to go for cheaper bats tonight is probably Milwaukee against Greinke. It's a really good matchup for the Brewers because the Brewers strike out a lot and they struggle with power guys that can blow the ball by them. Well, Zach Greinke is pretty much the opposite of that. So they're going to put the ball in play. They're largely affordable. And so you can get some cheap bats from the Brewers to go with the expensive bats from the Phillies. Those are probably my favorite spots. I really like the Arizona lefties against DeSclafani. Maybe the White Sox as a team that if you want to be disappointed for about the 300th time in the last couple of years, give the White Sox a peek. But probably Philly 1, Milwaukee 2, Arizona 3, somewhere in that range for me.
All right, TJ, we hit the 100th like. Let's get the Spidey Bomb out of the way, and then I'll let you talk some offense.
He's coming in sub 10% owned today from the DFS perspective. I know Cards likes this play, and he's got some broken home run odds over on FanDuel. And so Corbin Carroll is the next Spidey Bomb. He's plus 600 over on FanDuel, way too high for a player of his caliber. And so Corbin Carroll is the next Spidey Bomb. And if we can get 125, I got one last one in the tank.
All right, Corbin Carroll is in at plus 600 on our sponsor, FanDuel. Back to offense. What's the exposure look like, TJ? How much Philadelphia you got? Over, underweight there was a little bit of a disappointing game last night. Everyone's still going to be playing it tonight. How are you handling that? And then what else are you looking at?
So Philly's definitely going to be my highest owned stack, followed by Milwaukee today. You can kind of guess that one based on where the Spidey Bombs were coming from with Rowdy Tellez. I'm not getting to as much Dodgers as I'd have hoped. I'm getting to a lot more of them as a 3-man stack and even a lot of one-offs from their team, but I'm not actually landing on all that many stacks, and that does worry me a little bit. I got Philly, Milwaukee, Colorado, Houston, Arizona as my top 5. Baltimore is number 6. And then the Dodgers and the Padres are kind of the two teams that I'm not getting much of, and I wish I was getting more of.
All right, so that's going to wrap up offense. Let's go position by position to close out, and then we'll take some questions if we can get through this relatively quickly. Catcher cards, probably not on FanDuel today, but on DraftKings. Will Smith is just having a spectacular year, and he's, I think he's definitely worth spending up on the 5K for. There are some reaches at some of the other positions in the sub 3Ks. I think you can make work, and it's tough for me to pass on Will Smith even against Musgrave tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the top guys, if you want to spend up, are all fine. Rutschman, Smith, Sal Perez. And probably, the cheaper option for me is William Contreras, and that's probably about it. The punt options are pretty much all hitting 8th or 9th. If you're stacking the White Sox, you could throw one of their catchers in there. But like you mentioned, there's decent value at the other positions. So it's probably Rutschman, Smith, Perez, or William Contreras, and that's probably about it for my catcher pool.
Yeah, I think that's basically where I'm at too. Contreras, like you said, everyone else 8th, 9th. not really good. Not a lot to pick from tonight, TJ, at the catcher position. You know, it's these top 5 on my screen here. If you're just mixing in for stack's sake, I don't mind going ultra cheap, but I'm trying to get one of these premium bats in at the catcher position.
Yes, I'm going to Coors for my main exposure here. Stubbs and Diaz are going to be my highest owned too, but Rutschman and Will Smith are 2 guys I like quite a bit, and I find myself landing on some Cesar Salazar in my Houston stacks.
All right, let's talk first base cards, because this is if you play Gallon on FanDuel, this might be you've got to make a sacrifice. Is first base a position you're sacrificing? And if so, who would you be doing that with?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, because I don't think any of the top end guys are must plays. Like, I like Crone, but I wouldn't consider him a must play. I like Tellez, but he's one of the Milwaukee guys that's actually a little bit expensive. You know, Vinny P at 4K, I think is all right. But yeah, I mean, you can get Nick Pratto is hitting 5th for Kansas City against Hauser. You've got Nelson Cruz against the lefty. You've got Jose Abreu, who's been terrible, but he's almost like bare minimum.
I passed on Jose Abreu for Prado in my personal teams today.
And I mean, Cody Clemens, if you want a cheap Coors bat for Philly, hitting 8th. So if you need to make the sacrifice here, you certainly can. And I'm okay with it, because if I'm spending up, I mean, it's probably Crone or Tellez or maybe Freeman in a Dodgers stack, but I don't think you need to spend up here if you don't want to.
Or you FanDuel, you can get Bryce Harper in there at first base too. So if you're maybe playing Wells at pitcher, you basically, you know, you're going to want to have Bryce Harper on your team today. It was basically Gallon and Jose Abreu or Bryce Harper and Wells. And I think I wanted the bat today a little bit more than I wanted the difference between Gallon and what I think Wells can do today personally. TJ, what are you doing at the first base position? I mean, there's a lot, you know, I'm looking at just the first baseman and, 7, 8, 9 deep of guys who I think could all have really good performances.
Yeah, so first base today, for what it's worth, I just did a new build trying to get some more Dodgers, and Will Smith is actually my highest owned catcher now. At first base, Rowdy Tellez, the Spidey Bomb, is going to be my highest owned first baseman today, without a doubt my favorite for tournaments. CJ Crone is going to be number 2 for me. Then it's these Philly guys, Cody Clemens and Alec Boehm. I'm getting to some Prado as well, just like Card said. But for tournaments, I think the other 2 that I'm really liking are Freddie Freeman and even a little Nelson Cruz.
All right, second base cards. What are we doing at that position tonight?
All right, this is a position where I think if you're spending up, you really only got you can play Bryson Stott, who's leading off, or you can play one of the Arizona lefties. Obviously, you're not playing Estrada for the Giants against Gallon. Just not the optimal use of salary. But I do like those Arizona righties tonight, or Arizona lefties tonight. We've got Rojas and Marte, both single digits in terms of ownership. I think they're interesting pivots away from Stott in tournaments. You can go cheap here if you want. I don't love the batting order spots for a lot of these guys. You got like a Miguel Vargas, Owen Miller hitting lower in the order. I think Adam Frazier is probably the sub 3K guy on DraftKings that I would consider at 2,700. But you can play him in the outfield as well. So cash games, I'm probably getting to Stott. Tournaments, I like those Arizona guys.
All right, if you were going cheap on DraftKings, you've got a favorite cheapy sub 3K?
It'd be Frazier. It'd be Frazier for me.
Frazier, all right. TJ, from a tournament perspective, anything you're really looking at?
I have 20% Bryson Stott today, and outside of that, it's just even across the board. So 10% Vargas, Owen Miller, Michael Massey, Dubon, Bryce Turang, Kim, Trejo, Marte, Rojas, Adam Frazier, just straight across the board, because I honestly have, obviously Bryson Stott is the play. Outside of him, I have truly no opinions.
All right, third base cards. I don't know, a couple of ways you can go. There's expensive. BVP play of the day is Manny Machado. Absolutely crushes Urias in his small, maybe not even a small sample. I think he's got 4 home runs off of him. What are we doing at that position tonight? Machado on FanDuel specifically, 3,000 seems a little cheap. When you compare him to Alec Boehm hitting 6th at 3,300, I know that's in cores. How are you handling him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Machado. I I don't go the BVP angle a ton, and he's 5K on DraftKings, so he'd probably more of a FanDuel play. Bregman's pretty cheap on FanDuel as well. They really price the guys down facing good pitchers, so you could go that route on FanDuel. Alec Boehm at 4,100 on DK will probably be the most popular option there. I know he hasn't been great, but I'm still okay with a cheap Gunnar Henderson. You've got some other guys that we talked about at second that you can also get at third. So that's probably my pool there.
If you were going cheap here too, a sub 3K on DraftKings, you got a favorite of, I don't know, there's like 5 or 6 guys you can make a case for.
Yeah, I mean, most of them, you get Clemens and Owen Miller that you could play at second also, or Clemens is at first. I mean, Gunnar Henderson would probably be the other guy I'd throw in there. He's 3,400 on DK.
All right. And then TJ, you eyeing anyone for home run?
At the third base position, I don't mind maybe getting a homer from Machado or Muncy, but my top owned third baseman today is actually going to be Gunnar Henderson. Getting to him at nearly a 20% clip today. Max Muncy, I'm getting to a lot as well. I'm going to be heavily over the field on him. Obviously, you can play your Coors guys, Boehm and Clemens, and I also like Brian Anderson today quite a bit.
Okay, shortstop cards. You can only play one. Let's pretend. Trey Turner, Fernando Tatis. Who's your pick of the day?
Probably Turner at Coors against a guy that walks a pitcher that walks a lot of guys. And I mean, obviously there's no wrong answer, but at least Tatis is facing a pretty good pitcher and not in Coors. So give me Turner.
Yeah. So on FanDuel or on DraftKings, you can't play Tatis. He's only outfield eligible. So that was more of a FanDuel question, but yeah, hard to argue against that. It's on FanDuel, it's definitely Turner or Tatis for me. And on DraftKings, it's definitely going to be Trey Turner. I'm finding a way to get him on my lineup. So TJ, if we're playing basically those two guys, I think are going to eat up 50% of the tournament ownership, probably, if you ask me. What can we do with them? Do you have a favorite from a tournament perspective? And then who else could possibly match them?
So favorite from a tournament perspective is definitely going to be Willy Adames today. I also really like Xander Bogaerts for tournaments. Those would probably be my top 2 guys that I'm looking to go to. Turner and Adames are going to be by far my highest owned over on DraftKings, where we don't have the ability to get up to Tatis here. Witt and Bogaerts are going to be the ones that I'm going to try and get most over the field on. And then I'm getting to a little bit of Tovar as well for Colorado.
Okay, like all of those suggestions. We are, I think, 13 likes away from the final Spidey Bomb. Get those in we can get those before TJ talks outfield. That would be great. So let's go outfield. And the trio of Philadelphia outfielders. You've got Castellanos, Schwarber, and Castellanos, Schwarber, and Harper. Bryce Harper, probably my favorite play of the day. I'm playing him for sure from the cash game perspective. I'm sure everyone is. If you have to pick anyone other than those 3 today, who is it? Can you play all 3 of them? How are you basically handling that, cards?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Philly guys in cash for sure, but the guy I would have the most exposure to in tournaments is Carroll, who TJ mentioned earlier as a Spidey Bomb, and I mentioned how much I like the Arizona bats, left-handed bats. So Carroll, definitely the guy that I would be spending up on in GPPs to get away from the Philly chalk. And, I mean, Feltner's been awful against lefties, so Harper, Schwarber, they're great plays. And you're probably playing at least one of them in your cash game builds. But Carroll is the tournament pivot to me. You're probably going to have to go cheap based on, especially if you're playing Gallon. Like, you're not going to be able to spend up for all your outfielders. So you're probably going to have to find at least one, lower end punt. My favorite is Jesse Winker hitting second against Greinke, who again doesn't strike a lot of guys out. He's under 3K on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So he would be my favorite punt, and maybe you can get, the spendy guys plus Winker would probably be my ideal outfield tonight.
Yeah, I wanted Winker. I went down to Fletcher we'll ride the Arizona lefties down there. I think he's 2,300 on DraftKings. You okay with that if I have to?
Yeah, for sure. Any of the Arizona lefties I think are fine tonight.
All right, yeah. TJ, tournaments. I've got the bat projected ownership. Bryce Harper, 25%. That's pretty obvious. And it might even be a little bit higher if you ask me. Schwarber's down there a little. What are you looking at from an ownership perspective? Any other players? Is the Spidey Bomb, number 4 or whatever we're on? Is he in the outfield? We don't have all the likes. We're getting close.
He is. He's in the outfield, and he's nice and cheap too, so he can fit some last spots that'll help people out. So get us those 8 more likes, and we got our final Spidey Bomb of the day. Schwarber and Harper are my highest owned too, just like everybody else's will be. Jesse Winker is next up on the list. 4th for me is Kyle Tucker. I really like getting to Kyle Tucker today, and obviously I talked about my like for Chris Bryant and Corbin Carroll as well. On DraftKings, you can play Tatis. I want to get a lot of him. Betts and Alvarez, I'm getting 10% or more of both of them. Santander and Grichuk and Marsh are the last 3 guys that are on my list of over 10 percenters today. But I think outfield is undoubtedly the strongest position on the slate.
All right, 124 likes. TJ,
let's get it, people. One more is going to hit that like button.
We've hit it. I clicked the button. What are we looking at here, TJ?
Final Spidey Bomb, also plus 600 on Fanduel. Nice and cheap. You can find him from a DFS perspective, and it is Pavin Smith.
Just more and more home runs and Spidey Bombs that we're trying to get in here. So I appreciate all of those. And if a plus 600 hits, that's what, 4 Spidey Bombs? We're in the green if just one of those plus 600s come through. So I like when the odds are nice and high. That plays into the Arizona lefties. I'm sure you're on board Pavin Smith 2 cards, right?
Absolutely. Any of those Arizona lefties are fine. I actually think they're a really strong tournament stack. I like the way that they've put that lineup together tonight. You've got 8 guys hitting from the left side plus Christian Walker. So and all at 10% ownership or less. So absolutely like that.
I like that. So I mentioned my Zach Gallen over 6.5 strikeouts. That was minus 140 on FanDuel. I've laddered that up to 12. So if you want to play along with me, you can do that. I like an Arizona and Baltimore money line parlay. I didn't get that up on Scores and Odds, but I bet that during the show here too. Seems like Cards really likes the lineup. I'm big on Gallen. What can go wrong? I like Wells. I'm playing him a lot in DFS. I like their offense tonight, some too. So I think that makes for a nice little part. I can't believe Arizona is basically, I don't know, this screams like a minus 200-ish at home against San Francisco. And I think they're maybe not getting the respect that Gallen and their offense is tonight. So I don't even mind a straight money line bet on them as well. All right, let's get some questions in. I'm going to go to our Discord first here. Let's see. We've got, everyone says Hillbilly Homer. I don't watch during the week. Is that something? That sounds like something Dean says.
No, somebody started. The guy, the Discord guy in the chat started it.
All right,
given his Hillbilly Homers.
All right, Tatis. Yeah, that's not going off the board too much, but yeah, I like Tatis. I'm playing him a lot. SHB Ball wants to know DraftKings cash. He needs 2 of these from Prado, Winker, Fletcher, and Clemens. I would probably go Winker and Fletcher.
Winker and Clemens. And Coors,
definitely Winker. I don't have a strong take on the second one, but definitely Winker.
Yeah, I like Fletcher tonight, especially if you're looking for a 23, if you need a real cheap guy. But I'm on Prado as well on DraftKings too. So my cheapies are Prado and Fletcher. I couldn't get the lineup I wanted with Winker. I had to make a concession to Fletcher personally. Let's see. TJ Beaner wants to know, can you recap the Spidey Bombs?
Already did in chat for them. So it's we got Betts, Tellez, Bryant, Carroll, and Pavin Smith.
All right. Prodigy wants to know FanDuel cash. Cease, Mullins, and Contreras, or Wells, Castellanos, and Adames. This is not close to me at all, mainly from starting pitching. I'm on Wells by a reasonable margin over Cease tonight, Cards.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that Cease is completely broken. I know some people believe that, but the walks are still a problem, and he's just not safe for cash right now. So, yeah, give me the second one as well.
Yeah, Wells is a pretty good start to the season currently, and it's the Pirates who had the hot start, but I think are falling back to earth as they probably should just a little bit right now. NBA DFS wants to know Machado, Rojas, or Bregman for FanDuel cash. I'm on Machado. Cards, do you have a take on any of those 3?
I'm fine with Machado and cash if you have the salary to get to him, and on FanDuel he's cheap.
All right. Aside 12 wants to know FanDuel cash. It's a 3v3. Pay attention cards. Rowdy Tellez, Machado, and Yelich, or Crone, Rojas, and Tucker.
I'd take the first one.
First one for me as well. Bates wants to know from Discord, FanDuel cash, Winker and Tellez, or Fletcher and Crone. That's definitely numero uno.
Agreed.
All right. Let's see. Beaner Marte for FanDuel tournament. I mean, Marte's cash playable. Of course, you can play him in a tournament as well, right, TJ?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think you kind of have to play Bryson Stott at second base in cash, though.
Let's see. Achilles, FanDuel cash, Tatis and Winker, or Machado and Tucker cards.
First one. I'm not on Tucker and cash.
All right. I think that's most of the Discord. I'm going to go to the YouTubes really quick. King of Smack, love for Wells on FanDuel. Yes, he's SP2 for me. If you can't afford Gallon on FanDuel, Wells is definitely option 2 without question for me tonight, cards.
Agreed.
Derek wants to know, he asked TJ, oh, you already got him. So Randall Grichuk, so he got his question answered. Gallon and Desclafani, same lineup on DraftKings. Can we do that tonight, TJ?
I don't have Desclafani in my pool of 150.
Cards, is that something you would consider? What do you think?
Not again. I mean, normally I don't care if it's 2 starting pitchers from the same game. It's fine, but I am not playing DeSclafani against a lineup with 8 lefties. He struggles a lot more against lefty bats, and I don't have any interest in him tonight either.
All right. Prodigy TJ wants to know FanDuel single entry. He's got 3,100 left. Oh, no, wait, this is a different one. So he wants to know Castellanos or Mullins tonight from a single entry.
If I'm not playing any other Philly players, Mullins. If I am, Castellanos.
All right. And Beaner wants to know he's got 3,100 left at utility on FanDuel in a tournament, TJ. Give him a couple of your favorite options that you can throw in there.
Probably want to throw that one at cards. I don't have FanDuel up right now, and there's only 2 minutes till lock.
Oh, all right, cards. So what are we looking at here? I see Tellez in here. I see Kettle Marte, Rutschman, Soto.
Was this a tournament question?
Yeah, Kyle Tucker.
Tellez would be my number 1. I got it up here now. Followed by number. Was it 31 or 32?
31.
Yeah, I would go Tellez as my top choice, followed by Rutschman, followed by Tucker.
Cards, all that makes sense to you?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you got Machado there as well at 3K, so plenty of options.
All right, so we are going to have lock in just a second. Cards, your emotional hedge on the Cardinals when you bet Boston did not come through, but do you have any other bets for the people tonight that you're interested in?
I wonder what my lifetime plus or minus is on those emotional hedge bets. Probably ends up combining to a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day, but it makes me feel better when it happens. Yeah, you know, I kind of like the Royals tonight for some unknown reason. I've been watching this a little bit, and there's a few places now you can get that close to plus 150. I like the Milwaukee Bats too, but I just don't trust Hauser, so maybe the over, but I like the Royals if you can get that at anything around plus 150. I'm with you guys on the Diamondbacks calls, obviously over Arizona's team total. Arizona to win, Arizona minus 1.5, I think are all fine bets tonight as well.
And TJ, you got anything, or are you just sticking to the Spidey bombs?
Sticking to my Spidey bombs. That's my bag. I usually don't bet too much on individual games. I like something with a bit bigger odds.
Let's see here. I'm going to round trip. Beaner wants to know FanDuel tournament fading Philadelphia. If you were gonna make a lineup with no Phillies in it, what does that look like today, TJ?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I would probably then pair it with a combo of Milwaukee, Arizona, and the Dodgers.
That sounds very reasonable to me. Just trying to see if we've got any other questions. It seems like we've pretty much answered them. So when all the questions are done and it's lineup lock, there's not really much else for us to do, Cards. The Cardinals game's over. You won that. We've got lineup lock. What's everyone doing for the rest of the night? What's STL Cards on a Saturday before Mother's Day? Now, were you joking earlier that the wife likes the Cardinals too, or is that a joke like you're going to watch the Cardinals game on Mother's Day?
No, she doesn't mind. Yeah, she'll
All
sit
right.
and watch the game. She just doesn't like it if I get crabby. So, and I've got to watch that on Mother's Day because that's just not allowed. So, but yeah, we don't have the kids. So my parents are kind of local to this area. They're like 15 minutes away. And they usually grab our boys and they get to hang out at grandma's on Saturday night. So that's our night to go out to dinner and do whatever, date night consists of when you're pushing 40, which is usually dinner and groceries, but that's okay. I'm starving. So I got to try to figure out where we're going for dinner.
You got to have dinner pre-show like I do, right? You got to get the carbs in you before the show so you can make it through. TJ, what's this little guy's name?
This is Obi-Wan.
Oh, of course it is. So that makes absolutely perfect sense. What's TJ doing tonight?
Probably just doing some relaxing, honestly. It's really nice out and warm here, so maybe spend some time outside this evening, and then probably just pit in and watch a movie tonight.
Yeah,
actually, we might go to the Mario movie.
Oh yeah, have you seen it yet or?
Not yet, but I've heard good things. It's pretty easy. Go turn your mind out, get some nostalgia, have some fun.
Producer Rob, Red Sox lost. What's that look like? Are you crying tonight? Producer Rob,
yes, he is.
Yes, I'm actually was getting all the tears out of my eyes. You kind of put me on the spot there. No, tonight I play poker and win all the monies.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
I remember when the poker boom was going on. So I was kind of just getting into college, and every now and again on the weekends we'd have like a poker night and stuff. And the games would take forever, and but it was fun. And then all of a sudden, somebody got a book of something, and the next night the next weekend the poker game went super fast, and I said, why is everybody, just going nuts now? And they said, well, we read the book. I said, well, what's the book about? They said, chapter 1's be aggressive. I said, okay, what? I said, well, what's chapter 2? I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. So everybody was just, going all in all the time. And the poker game started going twice as fast. But I'd like to get back into playing every now and again. Just haven't as life has gone on.
I was playing online earlier today while the baby was sleeping. So I play a couple times a week online to kill an hour or two here and there. But anyway,
I'm playing the main event this year, so I'm trying to get some reps in before I go play that.
Oh, big baller going for the 10K final table.
I won my seat. My seat in. So
how'd you get that? At the local casino?
No, we a bunch of people that I know, we used to do a local league with 27 people, and it was like a point system, and I took it down last year, so I get to go play in the main event.
Well, congrats. That's a pretty that's something I don't really have like a bucket list, but that would definitely be on it if I had one.
Yeah, that's one of the last things right now, so I need to get a new bucket list.
Congrats. If you're doing a State Kings or something, let me know. I'll ride your coattails on that one. But anyway, everyone have a good night. Cards, Justin, Rob, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching. Go Spidey Bombs. Go Arizona. Go Zach Gallen. We out you.